what is up guys, it's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at 33 Slardar. I thought I'd do this because on the recent build video where I talked about the 5 best heroes of Dota, and then I talked about the items the heroes should buy, I suggested playing Slardar. I think Slardar is incredibly powerful right now, so this is partially going to be a Slardar guide, but also I suggested going Mask of Madness. However, a huge portion of the Slardar player base goes Echo Saber. If you look at Dota 2 Pro Tracker, I would argue that the majority of players either go Echo Saber or Midas. There's definitely quite a bit of Mask of Madness in there, right? You can see spurts of Mask of Madness, but definitely the majority go Echo Saber. So I wanted to give a fair and open look into the Slardar, and let's get into it. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the GameLink website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. Alright, so I think this is a particularly hard game for him because of the fact that Naga Siren's pretty good against Slardar. It's definitely a hero that deals generally well with Slardar, right? Doesn't get pressured too hard by him, has a lot of armor, and can deal with him in the laning stage. On the laning stage, he's going to scale up his W here. This is pretty standard. He's got a stick build, which I would argue is a little bit weird against Naga Siren Spiritbreaker. I don't know what he thought he was against. Maybe he thought he was against Bristleback. I don't exactly know, but whatever. Now on the laning stage, I think the main thing you want to do is look for gaps like the one I'm about to show you. Basically, you want to find opportunities to stun, especially getting to your level 2, where the enemy is trying to go for a deny, because then you can secure the creep with the stun and then follow up and hit them instead of, right-clicking the creep. You can hit the opponent. So you'll see here, he's kind of CSing. Going for a little CS right here, and then boom, Naga steps up, goes for the CS. I don't think he got it, but whatever. It stuns up the Naga, slows her afterwards. That kind of sets up for a Bramble Maze, and they get really, really good damage on the Naga here. So super clean, and that's the stuff you want to look for. Don't run through the creep wave early on, just kind of have some patience, let them go for a deny, and look for a stun on that. And honestly, I think a big thing that helps him out this game, because I intentionally picked a match where he did well. I didn't want to pick a game where he kind of feeds, and then people are like, oh, you picked a game where he has a trash Slardar game, and Echo looks horrible. So okay. In this clip here, you'll notice that you can really all in these melee supports. Just melee heroes in general, if they step even slightly out of position, even though he's half health and the Spiritbreaker's full, with one bash into a Slytherin Crush, Spiritbreaker really can't disengage. I like how he doesn't stun until truly necessary. Right when the Spiritbreaker's about to be out of attack range, he stuns, right? And this allows you to continue to close the gap, obviously because it stuns, and then it slows. So yeah. If you're in front of the person or on top of them, you shouldn't actually just immediately stun them if you're trying to kill them. You should hit them until they're about to be out of attack range and then stun. So at this point, 33 buys Phase Boots, which I think is mostly just a situational game thing. He's against Lycan, Bristleback, and Naga Siren, 3 heroes that all do physical damage and reduce armor. So it's a really good game to have an armor item. I can totally see the vision of going Phase Boots. From there, he queues up the Sage's Mask and buys the mana components of the Oblivion Staff, which I found interesting, right? Clearly he sees value in the stun, and what's particularly odd about his build is that he's maxing stun. So kind of using the Echo Saber as a way to get value out of the stun max. I guess it makes sense against Naga, right? This is a hero that you want AoE damage, and clicking the W definitely helps you deal with the illusions, and the ability's honestly pretty strong in general. As you can see at level 6 here, I mean, they're dominating the lane. He's 2-0 with 42 CS. I would say this is large because Spiritbreaker 5 is terrible with Naga Siren. There's like very little synergy there. But yeah, with a couple of auto attacks and the stun to follow up, because the stun does physical, if someone's amped, it does a ridiculous amount of damage, and the mana cost never changes, so you can use it reasonably frequently considering it's 100 at all levels. Now from there, if you want to try this build where he rushes the mana item and maxes stun, definitely suggest doing what he's doing here, which is if the lane goes well, dragging the wave to these camps. This is particularly good because it's just going to give you a neutral item, and neutral items are really broken, right? He gets a Cult Bracelet, and this is going to continue to help solve his mana problems. And this is obviously the upside of going this build compared to a Mask of Madness build. It's way better for your mana. Now, of course, Mask of Madness, you can still get a mana neutral item, right? It doesn't really stop you from doing that, but you can certainly click more stuns with Oblivion Staff, giving you the 1.25 mana regen. Alright, and for the next 5-ish minutes, he's just going to farm up the top side of the map, which is exactly what I'd suggest you guys do. Don't really try to fight in the early game as this hero. It's not very good at doing that. Like, honestly, yeah, he has Phase Boots Gwynlace, which is going to help him gap close compared to some of the other Slardar builds, but he only has 2 points in his queue, and the hero is very kiteable for the most part. even though it is really fast, it's just everything it does is in melee range, which is kind of rough. So yeah, for the most part, you just want to farm up your blink, and you can do this by taking Ancients and playing up. And I will say the Echo Saber build looks a lot better if you don't try to take Ancients. I think one of the downsides of going Echo Saber is it just doesn't help you take Ancients because you have no lifesteal. It feels very awkward to do so unless, I guess, you get Seeds of Serenity, in which case you're not taking a mana neutral item. Yeah, so in this clip here, he comes mid on his Blink Dagger timing, and I think this is pretty cool, right? Kind of swaps in the Blink. In a moment from now, right, swaps in the Blink, immediately goes on the Bristleback. It's a cool angle. With the Echo Saber, I don't know, I just feel like you don't do that much damage. Now, to be fair, it's hard to kill this Bristleback no matter what item you have. Like, don't get me wrong, this guy's obviously pretty survivable. But I just feel like the overall damage output of something like Echo just isn't as good. And there's a couple of reasons why. You get flat damage from the water bonus, right? Bash of the Deep, which to be fair, he only has 2 points in, but you get flat damage out of this. And then of course, you're only getting 2 main hits. And you might be like, oh, but it slows. But my problem with this, with the idea that, oh, Echo Saber slows, is your W slows. And he's maxing it in this case, right? So he has a 6-second slow, which is why this W max is really cool. Pretty insane how good this ability is when you max it. Which is why I really respect and kind of think this build's cool, but if you have a max slow, why do you need more slow? I mean, yes, it makes you tanky, and I think that's kind of the idea, right? This build makes you tanky and allows you to just run in and stun more. Gives you mana and allows you to stun more. And I think that's the angle, right? I can kind of see it. I definitely get the vision. You want to be tanky, stay alive, and just have the resources to stun a bunch. But right, this guy's already slowed. Hitting him twice and dropping him to 100 movement speed is pretty unnecessary. The Mask of Madness would simply give you more damage. So, what I will say is if you want to stay alive and continue to click a max stun, I can totally respect buying the Echo. However, if you're trying to kill people from full and you're playing a style of Dota where you want to solo kill with Slardar, I do not think Echo Saber is good. If you're going to be hitting Ancients, I don't think Echo is good. In these long, elongated fights in the early game where you need mana and you need HP to play them out, yeah, Echo makes sense. It definitely has its place. And it's honestly these clips that make me question the build a bit, because someone commented down below on the previous Slardar video, the build video, that like Echo helps you bash more, it's more consistent with the bash. But if you're playing a high level Slardar and you're going for these smoke ganks or you're going for kills in lanes, you should be prepping the bash. For instance, 33 already has a bash set up here. It's not random, right? It's the 4th hit. So he has his 3 hits set up, and now on the 4th one, when he goes in, he's going to bash, right? You don't need Echo Saber to do that. And then from there, when he goes on this Naga Siren in a moment, right? He runs up the hill, they find the Naga, hits the stun, and as he starts to go in and look for the kill, that fear barely comes out, and he goes for the kill. There's just no way you can tell me Echo's better. And honestly, I like that he has Phase Boots, because if you're gonna go Echo, I feel like Phase Boots makes a bit more sense, so you just have flat damage that you're double hitting with. You get the point, right? I kind of like the Phase Boots for that reason, as once again, it allows you to kite in and out and just play this like annoyance build. But when it comes to killing anyone isolated, Mom is superior. So just remember, it depends on your playstyle, it depends on what you're playing to do. If you're playing alone, you're playing the flash farm, it's Mom. If you're playing the team fight and skirmish, in groups, I would say Echo's probably a little bit better, and that's the angle I'm seeing. Now, one thing that I will say is actually really great about Echo Saber is its natural disassemble into BKB or Ags. Now, in this game, he doesn't need a BKB because they don't do very much magic damage, and the Ags gives armor when you stun. So it's absolutely fantastic to disassemble Echo and pick up the Ags. However, once again, in clips like this, you just see the lack of damage. Now, to be fair, he would potentially die here if he had like a Mom and half a BKB. Now, to be fair, Mom is 700 gold cheaper than Echo, and so it's only a 300 gold difference when you disassemble the Echo and buy Ags to buying Mom and Ags. So I don't think you can like super argue that this super speeds up the timing of the Aghanim Scepter, but like by disassembling. But you can definitely see this build is underwhelming when it goes for these kills. It is. Like, there's no way anyone can tell me it's not. Like, it took him forever to kill that guy. Yes, he's survivable, and yes, he's a frontliner. So if your team needs that, I know I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, but I really see it clearly now, and I want you guys to kind of continue to see this angle and see these different clips of what I'm talking about, because people will continue to refute it, but I think it's pretty clear what this build is meant to do. And I think in a lot of matches at this point, going the disassembled Echo into Ags and then Mage Slayer is wonderful too. In a lot of games, this is where you want some magic resist because of the fact that the Ags gives you status resist and armor, but it does not help you live against magic damage, right? So if you kind of need to deal with both, instead of rebuying the Echo like he is here, which makes sense this game because there's basically 0 magic damage, instead of rebuying Echo, what you can do is you can buy the Mage Slayer. Also, something cool about this hero, that is naturally very, very strong is the fact that you can take Tormentor with Ags, because you do all physical damage and the Ags gives you armor, and the Tormentor reflects the type of damage you're doing. So Slardar's really good at taking Tormentor. Any minus armor plus heavy armor hero is great at taking Tormentor. So a couple other things to talk about with this build is the next thing he buys is his Shard, which I think makes a ton of sense. The Shard is really good. It increases the radius of the stun, and everyone you stun gets the ulti applied. So it allows you to not have to cast your stun, which saves you auto attacks, and just allows you to AoE amplify heroes. It's very strong. So you'll see in a clip like this, when he does eventually stun, it will apply the ulti. He actually applied it here, but it would apply the ulti otherwise and allow you to kill heroes like Bristle fast. Another thing to note as well is he skipped his level 10 talent until level 16. He took health at 15, so once again, he clearly has a vision of this game. It's not to kill people, it's to frontline and be a body, be a stunner. He's naturally going to take the stun duration at level 16, but the 10 talent, the health talent, and then from the other talents we'll kind of see what he goes, but for now it's mostly the stun talents. And then his next item that he has queued up is Shiva's. Once again, I don't recommend going builds like this. Like, his build is super armor heavy, but it makes sense for the match. Now, one thing I will say is I absolutely love the progression of the front 9 build. I will also say that you can do this with Mask of Madness, which is why, like, I don't really think Echo is integral. Like, you can go the frontline build with Mask of Madness, right? You can be kind of like an in-between. You can take Ancients and then eventually frontline. Right? It's just more solo killy and ancient farming with the mask, but the Echo is more skirmishy early on. But yeah, he eventually, like, I love the build up here. Quickening Charm, HP regen, cooldown reduction, wonderful for a frontliner. Goes Octarine because you actually super need the mana and you want to lower the cooldown, just button mash, right? More sprints, more stuns, mostly just more stuns, a little bit more ulti. Very, very powerful. And particularly when you hit level 20 and you take Slithering Crush damage, you one-shot creep waves with the Shard. So it's really great. Like, the wave clear and the map control of this hero is fantastic, and it's really easy to continue scaling with this build. Even though, yeah, you lack a bit of right-click damage, it doesn't kind of matter because you can just buy so many utility items. Like, you can buy a Bloodthorn next, you can disassemble Echo and a Bloodthorn, you can buy an Overwhelming Blink, you can eventually disassemble your Ags, and you farm like a freaking madman because of the fact that your W one-shots waves at this point. All right, and finally, we'll eventually see him come mid and look to clear the creep wave, which I've been praying he does for a while. But yeah, you one-shot creep waves with the level 20 talent. You can just take my word for it. But yeah, in this team fight, I mean, honestly, this build looks pretty damn nuts. Yeah, they're winning the game, but they're only 9k ahead at minute 33. This is, like, pretty reasonable. It's just a winning game. It's not a stomping game, it's a winning game. But yeah, goes in, front lines, hits a stun on the Lycan, reapplies the amp. You can see the Morphling right clicks doing quite a bit of damage. Has to kite out and applies amp to Bristleback, trying to bait out a Dispel perhaps. And he's gonna look for the backline. You're pretty bad at killing tanky heroes with this build. You just don't. But you're very good at killing supports because you have a lot of gap close and you're very hard to kill. He gets howled here, has to reset after the song, so he's going to look to kite out to try to let his blink come up, but unfortunately gets cancelled, so he waits for the blink, decides he wants to kill off the Grimstroke. Doesn't catch him right away, kind of chokes a bit, but whatever. Into the backline, but he's fine, right? When he's in the puddle, he has 28 armor, even when affected by Howl, which reduces armor by 7, so pretty damn impressive. He's able to shift over to the Naga here, throws out another stun, comes over to the Lycan, believe it or not, he's going to stun. And then after that, look at the amp, so much damage. Really helps heroes like Morphling kill these high armor heroes like Lycan, right? Harpoon, Manta, Helm, this guy has so much stats, so much armor, but it just doesn't matter as he almost ends up going down here, but a pretty cool Yule's pickup to deal with the Inkswell, to deal with the Phantom's Embrace, the Naga Net, even Howl, all of the goo, Bulldoze. Really great Yule's game, also just for getting mana and even kiting out a Bristle Axe usage. But yeah, gets off the stun again. Just so slippery as they could not close the gap, and the enemy team all dies. And finally, you can see him one-shot waves. Yes! Yeah, look at this. Boom! Look at the next one. Look at the next one. Yeah! Look at the next one. Oh! Look at the creep can. Look at the creep can. Yeah! Alright, that's going to be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you kind of understand the vision of Slardar. I think honestly making this video gave me a better idea of the hero, so I'm glad you guys pushed me to explore the hero a bit, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!